Welcome to Mindful Leadership, Transforming Lives, with your host, Singh. This is where leadership meets purpose, presence, and passion. In today's fast-paced, high-pressure world, we face a leadership crisis. Too often, teams are led by managers who lack empathy, clarity, and vision, leaving individuals uninspired, disconnected, and undervalued. But it doesn't have to be this way. Great leadership isn't born, it's built. The end game: empower your leadership, inspire the world. Every week, join me, your host Singh, as we tackle the gaps in leadership and life coaching head on, learning how mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and compassion can redefine success. This isn't just another podcast, it's a mission to fill the void left by ineffective leadership. And it's not just about leadership in business. Life coaching for leaders and new executives is at heart of this journey. Ready to rise above the noise and lead with clarity, purpose, and impact? Join a global movement dedicated to reshaping the future of leadership one mindful moment at a time. Let's begin. Welcome back to Mindful Leadership. I am your host Singh on the Transformation Network. If you ever felt like your brain short circuits the moment you have to make a tough decision, you are in the right place. Ponder this. When was the last time you made a decision and thought, wow, crush that? Be honest. Or was it more like, what the heck was I thinking? Maybe it was that late night Amazon purchase that you have to explain to your partner. Or my personal favorite, the yes to a meeting invite that you immediately regretted. Look, decision making is hard, especially when the stakes are high and your brain feels like it's running on the dial up internet of the days. But here's the good news: there's a way to cut through the noise, make decisions with clarity, and feel confident about the choices you made. And it's not magic, it's not luck, it's presence. This year, world feels like a never-ending episode of Survivor. And it's just March. Every day there's a new challenge. Economic uncertainty, AI taking our jobs, maybe our lives. And don't even get me started on the chaos happening on social media. But here's the deal: when you are under pressure, your brain does this super fun thing where it hands the control over to amygdala. Yes, the freak out button. That's why when faced with a high pressure situation, we either freeze like a deer in headlights, overthink until brain feels like it's buffering, or even better, go full panic mode, make a decision that you immediately regretted, like saying yes to a third Zoom meeting on a Friday. But here's the thing: it doesn't have to be this way. Today, we are going to break all this down so you can stop making decision that feels like a coin toss. Stop the coin toss and start leading with clarity and confidence. No matter if you're a leader, an entrepreneur, a parent, a student, this episode is for anyone who ever felt overwhelmed by any decision that you had to make. And let's be real, decision fatigue is a thing. You know that feeling at the end of the day when someone asks you, what's for dinner? And your brain just shuts down. Don't worry, I'm not here to lecture or make you feel bad, but about your past choices, we have all made some questionable decisions. Like the time I thought it was a good idea to DIY my own haircut. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Then I had to make it my brand. And guess what? I hardly spent any time or resource for maintenance of my hair. I mean, my hair. Now, before we get in the details and we unpack this episode today, I had a great news to share. I started the year 2025 with a simple goal of reaching out to 250,000 individuals with these micro 1 minute mindful practices. And I just found out this morning we have reached the goal almost there. We are at 165,000 unique use of the decision making
practices, the mindful practices that helps you to make decisions. Please go and look at the site, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But all right, let's dive into why. Why does presence matter so much when it comes to making decisions? And what's actually happening in your brain when you're under pressure? We all like to think that we are calm, logical, and in control when it's decision time. But let me paint this picture for you. You're trying to figure out whether to take a new job, buy a house, or even decide what to eat for dinner. And suddenly it feels like your brain has been hijacked. It's like there a WrestleMania match happening up there. Your logical side is like, let's think this through, while your emotional side is yelling, yellow, let's do it. And if you're not present, guess what happens? Chaos. And maybe a regrettable decision about ordering sushi from sketchy place you swore off last year. So what's actually happening in your brain when you're under pressure? Your boss just dropped a last minute project on you, or you're deciding whether to call out of work because your dog gave you that look. Your brain has controls to amygdala, your panic button. This part of the brain says, forget logic, we are going into survival mode. That's why you end up regretting saying or doing things like snapping at your partner or agreeing to a 6 a.m. meeting. Who does that? Now, enter the prefrontal cortex, the smart, the calm part of your brain, like the wise older sibling who says, hey, let's think this through. But the prefrontal cortex can't do its job if you're not present. When you are on autopilot, stressed out, prefrontal cortex, the smart part of our brain, checks out. But here's the good news: mindful practices and mindfulness rewires your brain. It strengthens the prefrontal cortex, helping you stay calm and focused, even under pressure. Think of mindfulness like noise canceling headphones for your brain. It tunes out the chaos so you can focus on what really matters. Let's be real for a second. Most of us make decisions in a constant state of distraction. Your phone's buzzing, you're scrolling TikTok, and suddenly you are deep in videos about miniature cooking. Then you are like, wait, wasn't I supposed to decide on something important? See, the key here is the presence. When you are present, you can actually hear yourself think. Trust me, it's a game changer. I shared the story of Captain Sully in the last episode. Yeah, the guy who landed plane on Hudson River, right? If you ponder on it, you're flying and suddenly, bam, birds take out both engines, alarms blare, passengers panicking, and you have got 30 seconds to decide. Most of us would freak out, including me, but not Sully. He got present in the moment, tuned out the chaos, and focused on what mattered: landing the plane and saving lives. He nailed it with zero casualty. That is presence. Now, we might not be landing planes, but say you are in a meeting and your boss asks something unexpected. Do you panic or get present and respond thoughtfully? Presence transforms a typical absent response, like, good question, we'll get back, to a very simple, here's a solution, and I can get back to you. Believe me, your boss will notice that you are present and not just reacting to a situation. Amid today's chaos, everyone's making snap decisions. What is your version of landing a plane? Managing your team, handling tough talks, or just surviving the day? The next time you are faced with a big decision, I want you to pause and ask yourself, am I present right now? Or am I just reacting? Because here's the truth, when you are present, you don't just make better decisions, you lead with confidence. And that's what separates good leaders from great ones. Okay, so maybe you are not Captain Sully. Maybe your biggest decision today is to whether to order tacos or pizza. But hey, presence works for that too. And for the record, the answer is always tacos. We'll come to that later in some of the episode. But the world needs better leaders. And I've said this, I mention this all the time. Don't think you are not a leader. If you don't lead people, you make the decision of who takes the last pizza on the table at home. Congratulations, you are a leader. And even then, if you think you are not a leader, who leads you? Make smart choices, thoughtful decisions without doubting yourself. And this begins with you. Now, knowing why presence matters is great, but without tools, you will end up panicking with more knowledge. No one wants to be the person who says, I know why I'm freaking out. I just don't know how to stop it. So today, I'm giving you two very powerful, very simple tools to help you stay present and make smarter decisions. The first tool is think, and the other tool is decide. They are like your ultimate cheat codes, simple, effective, and guaranteed to keep you from making decisions that you will regret. So let's begin. The first tool is think. This is a mindful practice that helps you to slow down, process what is happening, and make a grounded decision. Think is an acronym because let's face it, an acronym makes everything sound more official. So here's what it stands for: tune in, hold space, identify the facts, name your emotions, and know your step. So let's break it down. Tune in quickly. Close your eyes. Now, unless you're driving, then please don't, but otherwise. And take a moment to notice what's happening around you. What is the situation? Who all are involved? What is triggering the next decision that you have to make? Think like turning on GPS of your brain. Now, you can't navigate if you don't even know where you are. And no, lost in my feelings is not a location. Okay. So take a moment to notice what's happening around you. Then the next step is hold space. Give yourself a moment to pause. This is the part where you stop trying to fix or solve and just be. Be the observer. I know it's awkward at first, but trust me, it's where the magic happens. Think of this like buffering. You're not doing anything yet, but you know what? It is necessary. Pause before Netflix loads the good stuff. See? Once that's done, and the third step, identify the fact. Separate the facts from feelings. What do you know to be true? Not what you think, not what you're assuming. Just cold, hard facts. For example, the fact is your boss sent you a vague email saying we need to talk. The feeling is that you have already decided you're getting fired. See, there's a big difference between the facts and the feelings. The next, name your emotions. Label what you are feeling without judgment. Remember, you are just an observer here. Frustrated, anxious, excited. Naming it helps take the emotional charge out of the situation. You know, when you name a stray cat, it suddenly feels less scary and more manageable. Except in this case, the cat is your anxiety. And then know your next step. Finally, decide on one small, actionable step. Not the whole plan, not a grand solution. We are not solving world hunger, just calming down our anxiety. Just the next step you take to move forward, right? Think like when you're walking through a foggy forest. You don't have to see the whole path. You just have to take the next step without falling in a ditch. Okay. So here's the thing about think. It's simple, but it's not always easy. You are going to want to skip straight to K, the next step, because we all just want to do something. But if you skip the first four steps, you're basically playing darts blindfolded. Sure, you might hit the target eventually, but you really want to take that chance. So next time you're faced with a tough decision, just think. And we'll go through an exercise here quickly. I'll give you an example. The second one is once you have mastered think, let's move on to decide. This is the one all about making intentional choices that aligns with your goals, right? Decide. So define what matters. What is the most important thing in the situation that you are in? Is it solving the problem quickly? Is it protecting your time? Is it maintaining a relationship? Be clear about your priorities. Think of this like grocery shopping. If you don't make a list, you end up with 17 bags of chip and no actual food. Now, once you have decided what matters or defined what matters, the next one is evaluate your options. Lay out your choices, even the one that seems ridiculous, like quitting your job and moving to a goat farm. That's fine. Sometimes just seeing your options on paper helps clarify the right path. Hey, goat farm keeps popping up as an option. Maybe it's time to reevaluate your life. The same. The next one is check your biases. Are you influenced by fear? Are you influenced by ego? Are you influenced by assumptions? Take a moment to question your thought process. Are you saying no to an opportunity because it is a bad fit or because you're afraid you won't measure up? Be honest. It's just you and your thoughts here. Then imagine the outcomes. Visualize how each option will play out. What does success look like? What's the worst scenario? And no, the worst scenario is not always I will end up living in a van down by the river. Let's keep it realistic, people here. Okay. That's not going to be a choice. And then decide, make the call, commit to a choice and own it. And that's when you execute, take action. Even if it's messy, even if you're scared, just take that first step. Because here's the thing, a decision without an action isn't a decision, it's just another thought. So it's time to put everything we have learned into action without a decision making role play, with a decision making role play, right? There are no wrong answers, no judgment, just a bit of pressure. And that is the point. Life is full of high pressure moments, whether leading a team, managing a household, or deciding on which deluxe gawk to put on Chipotle. You're constantly making decisions. Think of this as a leadership scape quick simulation, except there's no timer, no weird riddles, and you don't have to work with that one guy that keeps shouting the keys under the rug when everybody knows it's not, right? So here's the scenario. It's Monday morning and your team is full on meltdown mode. Two of your top employees, let's just say Karen and Dave, are in a heated argument. Like I can hear from my office and I'm wearing noise canceling headphones. Crazy. Meanwhile, there's a big deadline looming. Your boss just emailed asking for an update, and everyone on the team is looking at you to fix this mess. What do you do? Take a moment to imagine yourself in this situation. You can practically feel your heart racing, right? But here's the thing, this is where presence comes in. Instead of freaking out or making snap decisions, we are going to pause, think, and decide, right? So tune in, think, tune in. What's actually happening here? Two people arguing, team stress, deadline looming. But what is really going on? Maybe Karen feels like her ideas aren't being heard, and Dave's frustration is more about the deadline than the argument itself. How do you know what the true problem is? Then hold space. And this is the hardest part because everything in you wants to yell, okay, everyone shut up. But trust me, holding space is like letting the pot simmer instead of boiling over. Observe what's happening before you act on it, right? Identify the facts. Two people arguing, the team's morale is tanking and deadline is today. What do you know why the two employees, Karen and Dave in this case, are at each other's throat? Now, name your emotions. How are you feeling? Frustrated, stressed, anxious? I would be. It's okay if your emotions include, I want to throw my laptop out the window. That's valid. Just don't act on it, but name it. And now, know your next step. What's the immediate action you can take to move forward? Maybe you pull the two people aside for a quick conversation. Maybe it's redirecting the team to focus on the deadline while you handle the conflict. Whatever it is, it's simple, immediate, and actionable. Now you get to bring out the decide to. Define the matter. What's your top priority in this moment? Is it resolving conflict, meeting deadlines, or supporting your team? For me, the priority would be deadline because if that doesn't get done, we might have questions on our job too. And then evaluate options. What are your choices? You can let the two employees work it out their own, maybe risky. Step in and mediate the argument or redirect the team to focus on the deadline. Right? But then you check your biases. Are you favoring one employee over other? Are you avoiding conflict because it's uncomfortable? Just be honest with yourself. Imagine the outcome. What happens if you mediate the argument? What happens if you ignore it? What is the best and the worst case scenario here? Then decide, make a call. Resolve immediate tension. Refocus the team on the deadline, whichever it is, but then execute. Take action. Don't overthink it. Just do the next right thing. Once the situation is handled, take a moment to reflect. What worked? What didn't work? And what can you do differently next time? And hey, if your solution didn't work perfectly, it's okay. You might still have another opportunity to still think about the steps in your think and steps in your decide model. Here's a challenge for the week. The next time you're faced with a tough decision, use this think and decide model. Write down what happens, what worked, what did not, and how it felt to make a decision with clarity and presence. Remember, great leaders aren't born, they are made. And they are made one thoughtful decision at a minute, at a time. So go there, own your decisions. And remember, when things get crazy, pause, think, and decide. You have got this. Let's begin. You're watching and listening to Mindful Leadership on the Transformation Network. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives. With me, your host, Singh. We are honored to have you join us on this journey to explore the transformative power of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and authentic leadership. Tune in every week on transformationtalkradio.com at noon Pacific on Tuesdays, where we will continue to explore how mindful leadership can create a ripple effect of positive changes in your life and lives of those you influence. This show is dedicated to helping you lead with purpose, presence, and passion. Whether you're navigating the complexities of business, building stronger connection with your team, or striving to make a meaningful impact in the world around you. To learn more about the show, access additional resources, or dive deeper, visit singhpowerupcoach.com. Remember, leadership isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. Let's continue to transform lives together